Today we are going to study about forces. Now, a force is a push or a pull. Now, let's see what that means. I can exert a force. I have a ruler here, and I can push the ruler. And what did the ruler do when I exerted a force on it? It moved from one place to another. It changed its location. Now, I can do the same thing. I can pull the ruler back to me, and again, it changed position. I exerted a force. Now, we use push and pull in our everyday lives. If I have tape here, I need to pull to get the tape off and rip it off. I exerted a force. Can you think of some forces that you use in your everyday life? Maybe if you've been to the park recently and you've had to push somebody on the swing, or maybe you push somebody down the slide, gently of course. What else? What other forces have you exerted? Now today, we are going to see if something else inside of this room can exert a force. There's something that this room is filled with. I'm breathing it in, breathing it out. That's right, air. This room is filled with air. Can air exert a force? Well, let's see. We're going to do an experiment. What I have here is a balloon that I have filled up with air. Now I've just closed it up with a little bit of tape so that I have it ready to use. And let's see what happens when I let go of this balloon filled with air. Well, did it exert a force? It did, right? The air in the balloon pushed down on the table and it went flying all over the place. Let's see if we can see that again. We saw this balloon exert a force onto the table. But did I push the balloon? Did I exert a force? No. Did I pull the balloon and move it all around? No. What exerted the force? The air inside. The air inside was able to push the balloon, and it kind of went all over the place. Now, sometimes we want a force, but we want the force to go in a specific direction. We don't want it to go all over the place. Maybe we want it to go in a straight line. In the next segment, you'll see the balloon go in a straight line. Can you figure out how I did this? Watch and see if you can do the same thing at home. That was cool, right? The balloon went in one straight line. See if you can figure out how I did that. And see again, can you try it at home? Can you find a couple walls and see if you can copy exactly what I did and make your balloon go in a straight line? For this lab, you're going to need one ruler, one clean straw, a paper clip, one wooden block, a flat surface, preferably smooth, and some air that you're going to provide from the strength of your lungs. Now, for this next part, you're going to have to go into your enrichment bag, find the Ziploc bag that has all the materials, and I'm going to tell you exactly what you need. You're going to take out one straw, you're going to take out a wooden block, And we're going to take out a paper clip. The rest will go back inside of the bag, and we're going to use it at a later time. You're also going to need something from home, a ruler or another measuring device. Your observation sheet is also attached to this YouTube video, and your teacher also has another way of getting it to you. What you're going to do is we're going to see how much force do you need to move this paper clip from one side of the ruler all the way to the other, and how much force you need to move this wooden block from one side of the ruler all the way to the other. Now the force that we're going to be using is not going to be the force of our hands. We're not going to be pushing it. We're going to be using the force of air through the straw. Now it's important before you use the straw that you keep it clean. You don't touch either end of it. And what you're going to do is just put it in your mouth, and you're going to push the air out of your mouth through the straw and try to move these two objects. Make sure that you swallow well first before you use the straw. Now first I'm going to place my paper clip at the starting point. Going to line it up with the ruler, and we're going to count and see how many puffs does it take to move my paper clip. It's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 puffs it took. Now you notice that I moved as the paper clip moved. I also moved my straw along with it. So on my sheet, I'm now going to record that it took me 7 puffs. So I can either check or shade in, and I'll show you that in a little bit closer up. Now let's try the wooden block. I'm going to place my wooden block here, and then I'm going to move my paper clip. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It took 11 puffs to move my wooden block all the way across the length of the ruler. Now I'm going to come back onto my worksheet, and I'm going to show you how many puffs it took onto this worksheet. So I'm going to check off or shade in all of the puffs that it took to get to moving my block. Now again, here is my sheet. And let's go back, and I want to show you different ways that you could fill out your observation sheet. The first thing we worked with was our paper clip. The paper clip took how many puffs to move? It took definitely 1 puff, so you can either put a check mark or you can shade in the box, whatever you think is easier for you. So I'm going to show you all the different ways that you can do it. That's 1, that's 2. How many more boxes do we have to fill? We have to go all the way to 7. So I'm going to use check marks. 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now what about my wooden block? Did my wooden block take 1 puff? Well, definitely needed 1 puff to move, but that wasn't enough to get it all the way across the ruler. I needed 2 puffs, 3 puffs, 4 puffs, 5 puffs, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and it actually needed even more than 10 puffs. I needed a total of 11 puffs. So I'm going to, on the side, write down +1, make a total number of puffs that it took, and it would be 11 puffs for the wooden block. Now again, you can use check marks, you can shade it in any way that you find is easiest for you. Now again, we are just recording the number of puffs it takes to move the paper clip and the wooden block through the length of the ruler. Now you can see that my paper clip took 7 puffs, while my wooden block took 11 puffs. This chart only allows you to fill in or color in up to 10. So if it's more than 10, that's okay. Just write in the number on the side. We learned that a force is a push or a pull, and that air can also cause a force. Now we moved 2 different objects today. The objects that we moved were the paper clip and the wooden block. Which one took more puffs to move? The wooden block with 11 puffs. Which one took less puffs to move? The paper clip, which only took 7 puffs to move. Now why is it, do you think, that the paper clip took less puffs? Do you think it has to do with the size, or does it have to do with the weight? Which one do you think is heavier? Probably the wooden block. It weighed more, so it was harder to move it. It took more force to move it. The paper clip, did we need force to move it? We did, even though it was really light, we still needed a force. Was the force more or less than the wooden block? The force to move the paper clip was less because it was lighter. Go ahead and try this, and I can't wait to see how you guys all